Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to our spiritual, soulful morning. Let's welcome each other on this wonderful Sunday. Let's close the eyes and go inward by praying to all the divine energies that are around us, surrounding us. Let's pray to each one of them to protect us, guide us in our inward journey. Let's be greatly thankful to our parents for our earth journey, through whom we chose this life and we chose our learnings on Mother Earth. Let's be grateful to our ancestors for the value they provide in us. Let's be grateful to our loved ones, our family or friends in this life who have taught us so many more emotions. Let's be grateful for these spiritual times when this time and process the earth is shifting. Ascension is happening for her by raising the consciousness of us earthlings. May we pray for this beautiful consciousness to shift. May we grow into better versions of ourselves day by day, moment to moment. May we be very grateful for the bodies we live in, knowing that a healthy body leads to a healthy mind. May we be grateful to our subconscious mind and our soul for choosing this body to further its own purpose, and for being tapped with so much of wisdom, so much of potential that we haven't even tapped into. May we have the courage to do whatever our heart desires for the highest good of ours and others around us. May we be full of love, light, courage, and happiness and joy. And may anything with the lack of love just drift away, disappear from our being. May we tap into the infinite possibility of magics. May we learn and grow and be part of conscious communities for a conscious living. Proclaiming, affirming that love is everywhere. I am loving. I am lovable. I am loved. Affirming, I love and approve of myself, or I'm beginning to love and approve of myself. Telling ourselves, I know, I trust life, I am safe. The universe has my back. Everything is possible in this beautiful, magical world. Whatever I desire, whatever I truly wish from the highest good gets fulfilled very easily. I am learning to be willing to forgive myself and forgive others. I'm finally willing to change, not just saying it, I am willing to change myself. I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, joyful, happy being. I am grateful. I am blessed. I am a yes person. I say yes for all things that is made of love and light. I am open and receptive. You can Spread your hands apart and say, I am open and receptive to all the goodness that this universe has to unfold. And I tap into the infinite abundance in my universe. Wherever I turn, prosperity follows. I share my light. I shine bright, right here, right now. These beautiful mornings are helping me tune inwards by laying a foundation, by sowing a seed in the fertile soils of my mind to help me in my growth. It helps me to have clear my time. When I do something to grow my soul, whether read a book, whether meditate, whether do an act of love, as I grow, I'm beginning to trust my own instinct, whether I call it connection with my higher self or a gut feeling. I'm beginning to tune into that. I'm becoming a person who's connected. I'm beginning to live a much better quality life. The minute I tune inwards and outwards, I am in harmony. I tune into the harmony. And all the magics that are unfolding in my life, I tune into them too. I acknowledge the presence of angels, guardians, masters, gurus, teachers, rishis, all higher beings in this realm or the other, in this dimension or the other, knowing that whenever I need guidance, I know they are there to guide me. All I need to do is ask, believe, and receive. And so it is. So it is. So it is. Be blessed, everybody. You can open your eyes with a beautiful smile, and let's tune into the beautiful book that we're reading. Messages from the Masters, authored by Dr. Brian Weiss. In this beautiful book, we are today on chapter number 8, which is about changing the world. Coexistence and harmony. Everything must be balanced. Nature is balanced. Beasts live in harmony. Humans have not learned to do that. They continue to destroy themselves. There is no harmony, no plan to what they do. It's so different in nature. Nature is balanced. Nature is energy and life and restoration. And humans just destroy. They destroy nature. They destroy other humans. They will eventually destroy themselves. Why is this being said? If you look around us, look at the way we are now moving in life. Somebody would call it progress, but we're digressing from from the actual situation. To wrap our rotis and breads, we need plastic or aluminum or paper. Paper and all these products are brought in from where? Trees. We are harming Mother Nature, spoiling the balance by creating these man-made objects that we say are disposable. Back 20 years, 25 years ago, everything used to be wrapped in pattal, made of Mother Earth. All the extra leaves that fall off Mother Earth, they were made in pattal. Muslin cloth was used that was again washed and used. Now, toxic foil, butter paper, all of them are lined with chemicals. And these chemicals seep into our body through our blood veins because they touch our food and we eat it. The plastic packaging we see around us for every single thing, or the foil packaging. Look at the industry of packaging. Everything when we go to a superstore is packed. And that's what we're eating. But 25 years ago, we would go to the kirana ka dukan and pick up dals by the kilo, probably take our own bags and then bring them. Now poly bags have been inundated. And where are these things going? In landfills. What is happening? So much of toxic gas is there, and that is harming people who live in and around. We have no idea where we're heading. 180 ml plastic bottles have taken the world over. 1 liter, all of this. That plastic is so bad. It's toxic. It's been proven that it's cancerous. But back 25 years ago, you either carried your own bottles, your own flask, or in every market there used to be a water cooler where you could just buy 10 bucks, 10 paisa for a glass of water. Everything in nature is becoming disbalanced. And nature is the biggest energy and the biggest life giver. And rather than restoring it, we are destroying it. And all of us are part of it because we are buying those products and bringing in our houses. Whether it's a toilet roll in our bathroom, whether it's paper napkin on our table, we are a part of this big chain where we are not living consciously. We are leading to destruction. But if each household starts this inward journey, then we are somehow leading to restoration of our mother nature. Dr. Brian Weiss says, in a meditation, I saw that our planet took the form of a one-room schoolhouse, the old-fashioned type where children in grades 1 through 12 all occupy the same room and one teacher teaches all the grades. The school seems to be in trouble. Younger students were disturbing the most advanced. There was no harmony or cooperation. Even the schoolhouse itself was being defaced. I knew that the school would cease to function if the chaos were to persist. Then I viewed several modern schools, each one nestled in its own beautiful campus, an elementary school, a middle school, a senior high school. Each one was specialized and access was granted only to the assigned students. The classes were orderly, but lacked the intensity and energy of the one-room schoolhouse. Could our one-room schoolhouse, our planet, be evolving into disconnected components due to the chaos of society? Is a time coming for the more primitive students to be removed from the more advanced ones? For those still practicing violence, hatred, greed, and fear to be isolated from those who have mastered the traits of love, forgiveness, compassion, and kindness? Look at our country. We may have made our mark in the international world, but look at what is happening. So much of hatred. I, me, and am. Hinduism at its peak. In a way, good. In a way, bad. It's so ironic to know that the Muslims wish to leave our country because it's no longer safe for them. If anybody has relatives remotely in Pakistan, they can't visit each other. Not allowed. Our government doesn't allow. What is happening? Total chaos, mayhem. We are talking about independence. Are we independent of our school thoughts, our mind thought, or are we still stuck in religion or anything that divides? Racism, love for whiter skin, or is it acceptance? Look at human beings. They're cheating on each other. Who's being truthful to each other? Even if you're married and you're not cheating physically, you're cheating emotionally by being disconnected. By saying you have your world, I have my world. Where is the connection? In the name of giving space to each other, we have lost connection. What are we doing? We are destroying and changing the world that we are living for worst. Dr. Weiss continues, he says, the dream ended, but the ending seemed vague. I knew that the model could be salvaged if cooperation, love, and harmony could somehow fill our one-room schoolhouse. In its ideal form, having the older student helping to teach the younger ones seemed beautiful, seemed beautifully efficient. One teacher with many assistants. However, if disharmony, fear, selfishness prevailed, the schoolhouse would have to be replaced with a safer, yet somehow more sterile, separate campuses. The choice is still ours to make. We all dream of a better life in a better society. However, it has become difficult to go through a complete day without being disillusioned, disappointed, and drained by the mean-spirited and selfish people who surround us. So many people seem to be interested only in their personal gain. They have become rude and arrogant, critical and insensitive. Not only do their actions drag us down, but most of us feel that there's nothing we can do to change this, that only those in power have the capacity to make a difference. If we accept our task to be enlightened beings of a planet, we can begin to change the world. Realistically, I think the changes will occur slowly as we begin to practice acts of kindness every day, doing little things to help make other people happier. Perhaps the answer is volunteering to help the less fortunate. Perhaps it's something as simple as being nice to someone, doing a kindness without asking for or expecting anything in return. So for years, television host and actress Oprah Winfrey has been advocating the practice of doing simple acts of kindness every day. These acts do not have to be expensive or complex. They can be nothing more than a pleasant smile, a spontaneous compliment, and assist to someone needing help. They can be a kind word, a sweet gesture, a caring action, a compassionate attitude, a shared joy, a helping hand. Little by little, step by step, a huge transformation of our society could begin. People would feel nourished by the kind gestures of others. Fearful attitudes and defensive insecurities will begin to melt away in the warmth of kindness. Strangers must approach other strangers with these benevolent actions. Kindness and caring cannot be reserved only for our families and friends. Otherwise, society will not change at all. We need to reach out to the others, not merely those like us. That is such an important thing to know. We know about this. That's why when you go for a walk in the park, you see people nodding each other, wishing each other good morning, whether they know each other, whether they don't, blessing each other. You hear the laughter club in every park. You will hear people, older people usually, sharing a shared laugh. That energy vibrates and that makes it a little infectious. And you also smile and you're like, yeah, people are laughing. How wonderful. A huge transformation could begin if we nourish ourselves by being kind to others who are not known. To people who we know, we usually are kind, or sometimes even worse, we take them for granted. Because deep down, we're just so busy in the rut of our lives, we forget who we truly are, that we are made of love and light, that love is the only energy there is. And when I have so much of love and I'm made of love, love is the only language I should talk. But am I? If we could get everyone to perform just a few acts of kindness each day, we could change the world. At least a good beginning could be made. Our days would seem sweeter, less discouraging, and we would harbor more hope for the future. The model of kind and compassionate behavior towards our fellow human being should be America's export and legacy, not greed-based business practices with money as a bottom line and ruthlessness, uncaring competition as a means to an end. In addition, we could be role models for our children. They could learn the power and importance of being kind. They could learn that the actual number of people reached by their simple acts of kindness does not matter. The importance is in doing. I don't know how many of you have access to 10-year-olds, 5-year-olds, or say 20-year-olds, and you see they are really kind. They may have this screwed up world of internet where they're all the time hooked on to either mobile phones or laptops or iPads. But if you raise a voice and you shout, they can't take it. They will correct you. Why? They are the crystal children. They recognize the crystal in Mother Nature, that it's all about love. And they hate anything that shatters. So I use the word hate because they genuinely do not like that. Raise your voice and they correct you. Are you being kind to yourself by not doing acts of kindness? What about act of kindness to yourself? Charity begins from home, they say. Are you in the mood for charity to become a kinder person, to change your own innate personality? Because personality is nothing but your personal reality. So are you looking at changing your personal reality to change your personality and to change the energy that you emote in the system? Yes, we all know how we should be, but the importance lies in doing. Are we doing that? I'm grateful to everybody who logs on in the morning or some people in the internet world some time of the day by listening to something written so beautifully. But that's great that we listen. But what about the doing bit, the implementing bit? Of course, we will gain a lot. I'm not saying that we will, even listening is gaining. The doing is double gaining. Gaining for ourselves and people around us. Now that people could be known, unknown, doesn't matter. Since the beginning of time, all the great teachers of humanity have preached love and compassion in our relationships and in our communities. They have not wasted their time instructing us how to accumulate excessive material wealth. They have not taught us to be mean, self-centered, rude, or arrogant. Isn't that such a beautiful thing? Very few people would say, दूसरों का फायदा उठाओ, बदतमीजी से बात करो, अपना घमंड दिखाओ, तुम ये हो, तुम वो हो. Yes, there are people like that. I'm not saying they aren't. But majority, they talk about life skills, they talk about beautiful values. A real master, a real teacher, a real guru will help you find your own path, showing you what is important for your spiritual evolution and what is not important, or even worse, what may be a hindrance or an obstacle. Our job is to manifest the teachings in our everyday life, to be kind and nurturing, to practice loving acts. There is no time schedule for changing the world. The only important thing is to begin. If it is true that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, then the first step is to let go of our fear and isolation and to begin to practice acts of kindness, whether random or planned, whether big or small, and do this every single day. So much of wisdom in these beautifully articulated thoughts. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Have we taken that step? And we don't have to tell anybody that, yes, I'm doing this, yes, I'm doing that. This is not something, a world of ego, that we are sharing those things with each other. This is my truth to myself. Changing the world from its current violent, competitive, and hate-filled nature will not happen through the efforts of only a few enlightened individuals. even if they're powerful world leaders. Rather, the day-to-day acts of kindness and compassion shared between people and within small groups can bring about the change to a more loving and kinder place. People have to understand that we are all equal all the time, all striving for little peacefulness, happiness, and security in our everyday lives. We can't keep fighting and killing each other. Our children watch us closely. They model themselves on what they observe, our behavior, our values, our attitudes. If we are hateful and violent, they will become the same. And we realize that, right? Whatever is the worst quality in our parents, which we have actually abhorred, that is what we tend to become. Why? Because we like, मुझे ऐसा नहीं बनना. What is universe listening? मुझे ऐसा बनना है. And that then if we realize that we have become the worst versions of our parents, then only we can change that by creating that shift, by breaking out of that loop. One of our most important tasks is to teach our children right values and right behavior, beginning when they're infants, because babies too are observing us closely and they understand far more than we think. We have seen this in this, right? A child has Garib Sanskar, in utero memories. What are parents talking? What are parents seeing? They can see through the eyes of the mother. They can feel every emotion. So we may think the child is small, abhi to bahut chota nahi. I remember residing years ago about the Hopis, a Native American nation. In the educational system, if a student did not know the answer to a question asked of him or her in the classroom, no other student would raise a hand to answer that question. It was considered rude and uncivilized to embarrass or humiliate the first student. It was not important to impress the teacher with one's own brilliance, and it was thought to be barbaric to advance oneself at the expense of one's peers. In the modern schools of our civilized Western world, of course, there would be a sea of hands appraised to take advantage of the unfortunate student who didn't know the answer. We are taught to profit at the expense of others, to climb over our peers on the way of the top. We are taught to be competitive and ruthless and to discount completely the feelings of those we are trampling. Forget the humiliation of the unknowing student. Here is a chance to impress the teacher. Competition, 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 making somebody feel bad. On the expense of somebody feeling bad, we tend to become, oh, righteous and right. These are the seeds of violence. They are planted within us when we are very young. We can awaken and understand the nature of these weeds within and uproot them. But this process requires awareness of our deeper nature, and it is not an easy process. बोलना बहुत आसान है. बचपन से लाइफ में बताया गया है. आंसर पता है तो हाथ ऊपर करो. Competition, unhealthy competition. Somebody feels bad. If teacher says, just calls out a random student, okay, to give me the answer, and he or she doesn't know, others laugh, they smirk. And that is the time when that particular student feels shame. What are we doing? Acts of violence. Years ago, I taught a pharmacology student a course on alcohol and drugs of abuse to the second year medical students at the University of Miami School of Medicine. The entire class attended this course. Since I was more interested in what the students learned rather than their grades, I decided to take away the pressure of the final examination in this course. My belief was that the students would better concentrate on the subject matter if they were less anxious. I was required by the university to administer a comprehensive final examination, which eventually consisted of 120 questions and few essays. I announced to the students that at the last scheduled class before the final exam, I would tell them the questions and the essays that appear the following week on the exam. We would devote that class to discussing the answers. In this way, I thought not only would they really understand my course and its final exam, but they should all get A's. I followed through on this plan. And as I began to review and grade the final exams, I was stunned. I fully expected everyone to get a near perfect score. Instead, I was finding the usual bell-shaped curve, the standard distribution of grades, where a small percentage get a similar percentage get D or Fs, and the large percentage winds up in the middle with Bs and Cs. How could this be? I'd given them the answers a week before the test. One of the students, the daughter of a friend, had written a perfect examination. Perplexed, I asked her what happened. They didn't believe you. They thought you were deceiving them, that you were giving them the wrong questions and answers, and that you would change everything on the final. Fortunately, she had believed me. These students were already conditioned by the culture to be cynical, distrustful, and incredibly competitive. These students would become our physicians of the next decade, our healers, cynical, competitive, distrustful healers. Our civilized culture is failing us. And to change things, we have to start with our children, showing them the importance of love and kindness, of faith and hope, of compassion, of nonviolence, treating each other with respect and dignity, not as bodies to be climbed over on the road to material success. Gurus and presidents cannot do this for us. The responsibility lies with each of us in our daily one-to-one encounters to reach out, to help each other with acts of kindness, to not be concerned with that. And if anything comes back to us, to do this unselfishly. In this way, we can change the world. If you do not have the opportunity to do real great things, you can do small things in a great way. And if all of us realize this, then wonderful things open up. Rejecting violence and hatred. We have no right to abruptly halt people's lives before they have lived out their karma. We have no right. They will suffer greater retribution if we let them live. When they die and go to the next dimension, they will suffer there. They will be left in a very restless state. They will have no peace and they will be sent back, but their lives will be very hard. And they will have to make up to those people that they hurt for the injustices that they had against them. Only God can punish them, not us. They will be punished. Violence is much more than just inflicting physical injury on another. Such forms of violence can be more devastating from the physical variety. It can be very subtle. Separating into us and them is an act of violence. Focusing on the differences between people rather than a more commonality inevitably leads to violence sooner or later. We fear the other. We project our self-hatred, our failures, and our faults onto them. We blame them for our problems rather than looking within ourselves. We attempt to solve our problems by fixing them, often through violence. Thus, country clubs with restricted memberships are violent places. It does not matter that the members wield no more than a golf club on a beautiful summer day on a tree lined far away. There is violence afoot. There is we and them, all others. The others are not like us. We can't trust them. They're dangerous, to be feared. When we reach out with caring and compassion to those who seem different from us, we conquer our fears and replace it with love. We overcome violence. We embrace our destiny. I've heard that when the poet Maya Angelou, hears a prejudiced remark against any group, she immediately and firmly says, "Stop it." You will hear her majestic voice across a crowded room at a dinner party if she overhears a bigoted comment, story, or joke. That's a wonderful technique. If we all did the same, bigotry and prejudice would diminish and hopefully fade away. But to say stop it requires great courage. We will have to command our families, friends, peers, bosses, and strangers to cease their angry behavior. Although it may seem difficult, remember that we are swimming upstream against the current of love when we separate others as different. Love tells us that we are all connected, that we are all equal, that we are all the same. I have another take on this, personal take. कभी भी हम कुछ सुनते हैं जो एक्ट ऑफ लव या लाइट नहीं है, उसके विपरीत जा रहा है, अगर हम आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं करना चाहते, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो हमें वहां से मूव कर देना चाहिए. बेस्ट होगा थोड़ा बोल के कि दिस इज रॉन्ग एंड वी शुड नॉट बी टॉकिंग लाइक दिस. जैसे मेरे बच्चे मुझे शुरू में, आज नहीं, 10-12 साल 15 साल पहले, जब मैं बोलती थी येलो पीपल, वाइट पीपल, ब्राउन और वट एवर, ब्लैक, they would say, "Stop it, mama, you're being racist. Stop anything." If I would talk about, मुझे acceptance नहीं था उस समय for the LGBTQ community, gays and, pan and fluid and lesbians and anything. And I was like, what is this? My children taught me to accept a person for who he or she is. They told me that they have the life and the choice to choose their sexual preferences. You can't judge them for what you think is right or wrong. Who are you to judge? And I just thought to myself, how pure, how beautiful. Today, I can proudly say I accept them as equals without thinking that this is who they are. I'm proud to say that I know of gay couples and lesbian couples, and I don't judge them. I used to judge them. It was difficult because ये society ने norm बना रखा था, and that's what we'd heard, and she, that's ganda, is what we heard. And then I was like, what's ganda? It's natural to them. When I learned to accept, I somehow became so much more, just there's a happy feeling here that I am not a party to all that they're going through. That I am with them flowing in love, treating us as equals, knowing that we're all the same. You do not need to believe in reincarnation for past life therapy to work. If you wish, you can believe the whole thing is a metaphor. Imagery is rich, detailed, therapeutic, whatever you believe. In the spring of 1996, I was on a Maori Power show. Prior to the live taping of the show, I regressed several people while the cameras filmed experiences. One of these people was Jim, a musician in the late 40s, who was also a veteran of the war in Vietnam. He had been drafted unwillingly, and he hated the prospect of killing. But he had no choice and was compelled to be a soldier in this war. I had never met Jim until just before his regression. I took a brief history, explained what we would be doing, and apologized for the intrusion of the television cameras and their lights. He told me that he had never been hypnotized before and that he had no personal experience with past lives, but he was willing to try. Within a few minutes, Jim was in a deep hypnotic trance and began to experience a powerful past life scene. He was not at all distracted by the cameras or crew. I'm with an attachment of horse soldiers. We are in the Dakotas somewhere. There were many Indians and we are being slaughtered. And I'm trying to convince my mates that we are dying with honor, but we are not. Tears were now streaming from his eyes. His grief and sadness were palpable. There is Gary. Jim added a beautiful smile, temporarily piercing the sadness. Gary is one of his closest friends in Jim's current life. You recognize him? I asked softly. Yes, my friend's Gary. Is he one of you here? Is he one of you there? Yes. The tear continued to fall. It's okay, I added, trying to assuage his grief. We come around with the same people. Do you survive this? No. What happens to you? They take my hair. What do you see? Jim's voice becomes even more sadder. Terrible carnage. Oh, the things we do. I took him away from his death in this lifetime, and now review from the higher perspective. What did you learn from that experience, from that life? He was silent for a few moments. I observed his eyes moving back and forth as if he was scanning images under his closed eyelids. Jim later told me that he was seeing a panorama of past life scenes in which the horrors of war and unbridled violence were displayed to him. He is a participant in all of these episodes, sometimes as victim, sometimes as slayer, sometimes as bereaved survivor. He sat motionless. I repeated my question. Reviewing that lifetime from the higher perspective, what did you learn? What were the lessons? With teary eyes and the softest of voice, Jim answered, and I felt chills as I listened to his words. Jim says that life is holy and there is no reason ever to kill. As Jim echoed the message Catherine had delivered from the masters 15 years earlier, my mind drifted back to him as a 19-year-old recruit objecting to the burgeoning war in Vietnam and to his discomfort in being a part of this war. His was not a political or ideological objection. He must have remembered at some deeper emotional level what he so tragically experienced in the Indian wars of the late 19th century. Life is holy and there is no reason ever to kill. Obviously, you all will say, we've never killed. We've never killed. We've never murdered. Really? You've murdered your own love in the name of compromise. Either you accepted the situation, said, okay, I'm going to flow like this, and whatever I'm doing with love, then that's not murder. And that is understanding, construing, and still making do with it, but flowing in love. I'm doing still the best possible version. But अगर आपने अपने इच्छा के against कुछ किया है because societal norms बोलते हैं, आपको पता ही wrong है, फिर भी आपने किया, you have murdered. A part of your soul has been chipped away and fallen. Now we're moving to chapter number 9, which is very deep and profound. It says finding the light. What is finding the light? हमने कई बार सुना है कि at the end of the light, at the end of a dark tunnel, there's always light. जब अंधेरा होता है तो कैसा लगता है हमें? We are kind of uncomfortable. Getting used to the अंधेरा and then moving. एक बार डर लगता है कि मैं गिर गई तो. And light में everything is bright, light. It's comforting. बहुत तेज लाइट आएगी तो एक बार ऐसे कर लेंगे, धीरे धीरे you will get used to that, and even that is very comforting. For now, I just feel the peace. It's a time of comfort. The party must be comforted. The soul finds peace here. You leave all the bodily pains behind you. Your soul is peaceful and serene. It's a wonderful feeling, wonderful, like the sun is always shining on you. The light is so brilliant. Everything comes from the light. Everything comes from this light. Our soul immediately goes there. It's almost like a magnetic force that we attracted to. It's wonderful. It's like a power source. It knows how to heal. गर्माहट जब आती है तो वार्मथ आती है ना, कंफर्टिंग वार्म. कई लोग गर्म पानी से नहाते हैं कि कंफर्टिंग सूदिंग रहता है. Excuse me. One of the most consistent findings in the research of NDEs is the experiencer's perception of a beautiful and comforting light. This light is not some neurochemical event occurring in an injured brain, but rather a wonderful glimpse into the world beyond. Often a loved relative who has previously died or a spiritual being is present in the light, offering advice, knowledge, and profound love. The person often becomes aware of details and events of which he or she had no previous knowledge. People have been told by their deceased loved ones where family jewels have been hidden and yet undiscovered, where wills have been stored and so many hidden facts. Later, after they have recovered from the illness or injury, they found the articles confirming the accuracy of the information received when they were unconscious or in coma. A light caused by brain injury, as critics of the NDEs have sometimes claimed, could not provide such validation. Although certain details of the NDE may change from culture to culture, the perception of this beautiful light seems to be the universal phenomena. In USA, people undergoing an NDE often describe traversing a tunnel in order to reach the light. In Japan, crossing over a river or body of water to reach the light is a more common description. Nevertheless, whether moving through a tunnel or crossing a river or traveling in any other manner, the light is a constant finding. So too is the sensation that accompanies it. There is peace and comfort at that light. I don't know how many of you have experienced it. I have experienced it. It's so beautiful. When I met my brother and met with my father-in-law in regression to meet their souls, that light was magical. Magical. I still feel so much of calmness brought over me, so much of love brought over me when I think of the light. That light in itself, the memory of that is healing and therapeutic for me. Dr. Weiss says, after conducting an intense 2-day workshop in which many healthcare professionals were participating, I received a letter from one of the professionals who had attended. She was thanking me for helping her and others to experience the beautiful light, the same light, I believe, that is seen and felt by people during the NDE and the after-death experience. Of course, people can touch this light in meditative or hypnotic states, in dreams, in spontaneous mystical experiences, and many other ways. So सिर्फ past life regression ही एक तरीका नहीं है. अगर आप डीप मेडिटेशन में, ट्रांस में है, तो भी कई बार इस लाइट के वर्ल्ड में एंटर हो सकते हैं. कैसे? Maybe today in the meditation we will try, right? Dr. Bryan says, she is now 36 years old, but her experience with the light, still etched sharply in her memory, occurred when she was only 14. She wanted to share this with me, and I want to let you hear her words also, because her description is classical, accurate, and straightforward. She was educated in a Catholic school system in Latin America. Spanish is a primary language, although her letter is written in English. I never knew about near or after the experiences, life before life, and less about past lives. I never imagined that in 9th grade, I would have something to tell about. During a spiritual retreat that her entire school class was attending, a priest taught them a few meditation and visualization techniques. He first had the group which was lying on the floor slow down their breathing. He then had them visualize themselves in a beautiful field filled with flowers. At this point, The young woman's experience began to differ, becoming independent of the priest's gentle instructions. Birds were singing, and we were enjoying our surroundings. We were instructed by the priest's sweet voice to continue our walk through the field, but I found myself wrinkling my frown. I could no longer follow the priest's descriptions. I tried for 3 times, and instead of being able to continue my walk, I always reached a well. I felt the priest's voice farther and farther. Meanwhile, it was still describing a field without a well. My body grew loose and I surrendered. At the same time, I saw myself bending over to see what was inside the well, but I fell into it. Then it was no longer a well, but a tunnel. I had a little lamp in my right hand. I started walking through the tunnel. All was obscure except for the soft light of my lamp. After a while, I noted that the tunnel was curving slightly to the left, and then tiny rays of light began to appear as I became closer. They grew large and larger at each step of mine. I wanted fervently to see what was there. I reached the corner and then I saw it. Oh God, I was going to dismay. There was it, the most precious, brilliant, and largest light I've ever seen. It is round and giant, incandescent like the sun, but pure white. It seems solid, but at the same time translucent. How can it be? I wrote these few lines in present time because my soul knows this precious light exists and has always existed, always, for all of us. She continues, I was afraid for a while, but also irresistibly attracted by the light. Keeping my little lamp, I tried to penetrate the giant light in front of me, agitating its glamorous beams. I must be inside it and know what was behind it. I wanted to be part of it. I could identify a masculine polarity in the light environment. I was about to get in, then suddenly I heard a strong voice in my mind that told me, no, you can't trespass the light. I still remember the energy of the voice. It was masculine, young voice, but there was nothing, nobody visible. This was an invisible barrier that kept me outside the light. Immediately to my voice, I felt a strong push in my chest, which made me go backward, flying in circles through the tunnel. Suddenly, the tunnel became again the well, and then my fall was upwards. When I got out rapidly from the well, I saw the sky and the field again. And in that moment, I felt a blow inside my body, a sharp one, as if my soul had made a sudden arrival. It returned because it was not allowed to trespass the light. At this point, she opened her eyes. Surprisingly, the priest was still describing the field of flowers, and the students were still calm, with eyes closed. Nobody noted my arrival. She was too anxious and moved by her experience to tell anyone. For many years, she kept her entire experience with the light a very private secret. 12 years later, she read a newspaper article describing the NDE of a 4-year-old girl. She described reading the article and becoming overwhelmed with joy. She realized the little girl could trespass a light because she had, for a moment, died. I cried a lot. I was no longer lonely. The light was not a fantasy. I have never felt that love, the peace, the divinity of my light again. There's nothing comparable to it in a physical world. I miss it. Now, this woman works with dying patients in a hospital, helping them to make the transitions into the spiritual world, comforting and reassuring them because of her own spiritual experiences. Interestingly, she has also noticed many of the same phenomena as my younger brother Peter and his wife Barbara, who are oncologists and whose experiences with the dying patients are described in Through Time into Healing. So oncologists heal cancer, right? And Dr. Weiss's brother and Bhavi are oncologists, and they authored a book Through Time into Healing. Actually, it's by Weiss, but yeah, he's taken their learnings. The lady continues. I have the opportunity, the company of dying patients. They see their beloved parents or family of their or members of the family receiving them in their dimension or coming for them. These patients have described to me their visions and experiences before leaving. They're happy when they see their mother or father or a beautiful being smiling at them. I know they will enjoy their light. हमें पता है चाहे नहीं पता है, जब हम हमारी डेथ होती है, जब हमारी सोल आजाद होके ऊपर जाती है हायर रेल्म्स में, हमारे लव्ड वंस हमें रिसीव करने आते हैं. And it's beautiful. Why is it beautiful? Because I've experienced this through the voice of my brother who explained this phenomena to me. And when I read about this in that book authored by Kaushal Bhavnagari, I just knew that, okay, my brother has told me all of this. I need, and people need to know more about how to manage and help with people in the dying process, because there is light. From the light we came, and to the light we'll go. By the love and happiness that I felt from my light and perceived in my patients, I know love does not end with death. Isn't that beautiful? Love and light never really end. They're intimately and eternally entwined. Based on the knowledge I have gleaned from my masters, the after that experience is very similar. We still go to the light and receive the identical comfort, the same love, the soothing pain, the soothing peace. The only difference is what happens next. In the NDE, the person is returned to his or her physical body. In the ADE, the soul moves on, continuing to learn on the other side in heaven until returning here in a baby's body, incarnating once again in the physical state if that is necessary or chosen. I don't know how many of you know that there are souls that choose to enter the body of adults because they do not want to go through the rigmarole of becoming an infant, being born, growing, and then coming of age. How this happens is, if my physical body becomes really weak, for example, and my soul has decided that no more of this misery, बस आई वांट टू बी फ्री, बिकॉज फिजिकल बॉडी जब सिक होती है सोल का मन नहीं करता, कुछ चीज सड़ गई है उसके अंदर, कैसे रहो यार, अब तो ये बियॉन्ड रिपेयर है, चाहे वो स्टेज ऑफ कैंसर या कुछ भी बीमारी हो. The soul decides to leave. At that moment, there's a soul that wants to come on Mother Earth. And the soul swap happens. एक soul गई, एक soul आई, फट. And then all of a sudden the body starts healing. And you're like, ये क्या हुआ? I know of somebody, her brother was gone, like gone. But then he came back. And now the person, the soul who came back, doesn't remember anything. It's like two different people. But like, kahan gayi wo, hum there itna indifferent ho gaya after his coming. He's no longer the same. And his soul family hasn't reincarnated with him at the moment. Plan kuch aur tha. It changed the plan last minute. Ab kya hoga? So, lots is there in the spiritual world. Anyways, back to the topic. Lately, there have been a few reports about people who have experienced negative NDEs. In investigating this, I found that sometimes the so-called negative NDE is not actual NDE. Instead, the person who's injured has experienced a fluctuating level of consciousness during the trauma. He or she may become dimly aware of actual events taking place at a level of partial consciousness. I'm not saying that there is no such thing as negative NDE, just that there are very few cases reported and that some of these cases are not valid. For example, I regressed a policeman who had been injured in a car accident while on duty. He describes a terrible NDE in which his body has been pushed and probed and pierced by malevolent beings. In truth, as the regression proved, he had partially awakened while being transported by ambulance to the hospital emergency room. During the trip, the paramedics were administering emergency medical treatment, inserting intravenous lines for fluid replacement, injecting necessary medications, monitoring blood pressure, creating an airway to assist his breathing, and so on. In actuality, the malevolent beings were the emergency personnel who saved his life. When you find the light, you find peace, comfort, joy, love. There is nothing negative about such a beautiful experience. I have never found hell, only different levels of ignorance. The more ignorant, the less light. Evil is a profound ignorance and a nearly complete absence of light. Tomorrow we will read about another patient of Dr. Wise, another memory, another session. And today, let's try and see the light, all right? So everybody, our eyes closed, our hands in a comfortable resting position, our back straightened, and let's take 7 deep breaths that will help us align our Ida and Pingala nadis, energy channels, and thereby inducing the rise of light and love in our Sushmana nadi. Take a deep breath in. Keep expanding your stomach as long as you can, as if a balloon is there with more air being filled in. And when you've reached the pinnacle, hold and gently start exhaling. The counts could be minimum 3 breaths in, deep breaths in, and 3 breaths out. Or a deep breath in, deep breath out, counting till 7. Seven times, do it gently and beautifully. If your mind wanders, just pull it back. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale, inhale, and exhale very gently. We all know that we are love. We all know that we are light. Tilt your head a bit up and see the bluish white light surrounding just above your head. And welcome this light in your beautiful body. If possible, try and feel your skin and see how you feel. Is it cold to the touch or is it warm in its feeling? Let this beautiful light wash over you externally and enter through every pore of your being, as if you're in the middle of a beautiful orb, light, and that light is entering you by making it a part of you, so that you as a whole become complete, whole, full of love, full of light, full of the warmth and blessings. Feel this light flooding in every single molecule, fiber, atom of your being. Alongside, feel the warmth if you can in your every body part, wherever you're sending the light. Feel the light entering your body from every particular portion, from all cells of your being. Feel this beautiful flow of light filling in every part, every bone structure of yours. Love and light are the only two components. Be soaked in this light. Now touch your heart gently, lightly, maybe with a finger or two, the entire palm, and bless your heart to become expansive, so bigger. And see yourself duplicated and shrink that new duplicated you. You can allow your hand to rest on your thighs if you want, because your heart has opened. And now see a small door opening in your heart and allow the mini you to walk inside your heart and see the marvelous heart functioning, beating, giving life to your being. See your heartbeat. Do what it must, feel what it must, emote what it must. And talk to your heart. Itni problems aaye. I was broken. I was shattered. I was hurt because I had expectations. Because society expected me to expect, and I did. But can I drop these expectations? Can I accept people and life for what it is, how it is, by trusting the process? And can I become a channel of blessings by blessing everybody who comes in front of me? So from your heart, your hands, if they're on your laps or your heart, just spread them out. Don't open your eyes, just spread them out and become a channel of love and light. And spread this love and light as if you're blessing the world. Just bless unconditionally. May the blessings reach those who need these blessings to heal, to grow, to flow in this beautiful world of love and light. And if anybody in your life is going through a problem, imagine that person in front of you. And you can bless that person and see that your warmth, your light in your body is reaching the person and he's becoming a duplicate version of you. And remember, the more light you're sharing, the more lighter you're becoming. So the more you give, the more you get. So if you get 100, if you give 100 watts of bulb worth light, you get much more than that back. And remember, this light is very soothing. And now with your beautiful joy in your heart, whatever affirmation you want to do for yourself, or you want to spread some message or some element in the universe, say it out loud. As if you're living that moment right now. Keep blessing, keep blessing. And, and now, put your hand again on your heart and thank your heart for becoming a channel for spreading love and light. Rub your hands together. Feel the vibration, the sensitivity, the warmth, the tingling, and spread it in the entire body, especially in the body part which needs healing, whether it's muscular pain or anything, just spread it. Be blessed, my loved ones, my special ones. I shall see you in the gap tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing the secret space with me on this Soulful Sunday. Be blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love, light, and blessings for you, Pratima ji, Madhuri, Mudita, Ankur, Supriya, Rinku, and everybody whose cameras are closed and who are part of the internet world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lots of love and light.